losses. Running up this shit, now I'm bosses. You ain't money sellers, you why you bosses. Niggas showing us to me, but I lost shit. Talk too many of them A's. Fast, I'm dodging cause I can't go back to the gym. Ayy, and my else on the lessons. God gave me a talent and I'm listening, just a test. Ayy, oh baby, bad, miss some next thing. I can play alone like her, now we texting. Ayy, it's just so I change gender. Difference between me and you, I get a wetter. Ayy.
Hey, welcome back to the Hookah Lounge. Oh my goodness, it feels so good to be back. It seems like we were gone for like 3 decades. So, it's gonna be an odd night for me tonight because my hookah's here, but it's not lit. So, see, nothing. And no toast for me tonight. No water, no nothing. So I was like, it's a show kid when I was like, I need some water. It's my day of atonement. Actually, it was supposed to be yesterday. I can't see. Hey, Keturah, it was supposed to be yesterday, but Eric couldn't do it because he had to work. So him and I started tonight at sundown till tomorrow sundown. So if you don't know what Day of Atonement is, this is the day that we do once a year to ask forgiveness of our sins. The ones that I know about, the ones that I don't know about, and to forgive others who trespass against us, whether they ask us for forgiveness or not. So, yeah, so it's a fast. So I can't eat, I can't drink, no hookah. But it's gonna sit here and be, because this is the hookah lounge. So how can I be here without my hookah? So yeah, so it's gonna be. I drink water all through the show. So I'll be sitting here like, oh my goodness, I need my water. But it is so wonderful to finally back. You can't see my shirt. You can never see my shirt. I'm repping G-Lew's Oldies Rule Forever shirt. It's got a new album coming out. Make sure you cop that. So I wore that tonight to represent G-Lew. So yes, indeed, because we just been gone for so long. It's a week, but whatever. And I know we were here Wednesday and we were here Friday. Hey, that show last night. If you didn't peep the show last night, go watch it because he brought back K-Day. If you're like my age who went to high school with Flintstones, a KDAY was the shiz nizzle, my nizzle, if you know what I'm talking about. So make sure you go back and watch it. Hey, go rewatch it because it was well worth it. So that was what was up. Man, and it seems like it's been like, it just popped in my head. As I'm doing the Day of Atonement, hey, be grateful for everything you have. My son is so crazy. Like people at work, because we're talking about we're gonna do the criminal justice system tonight. We're gonna have a special guest in like 2 minutes. My son loves to send me like every time someone passes at the job, he always sends me, hey, do you know this person? Hey, do you know this person? Crazy thing. He sends me somebody, hey, do you know this person? And I'm looking at the picture. I was like, man, this girl looks familiar. But, we've all aged. The last name was different. Hey, Perlana! So I blow it up because it's on my little bitty phone. I can't see nothing. And I see the first name. And I go back to the sandbox with this girl. And it just kind of sat me down. And you know how your memories just start rolling in your head of all the things that you've done. And I don't really come on here and talk about people that I've lost, but this was kind of, it relates. She popped into my head because of the guests we're having tonight. And when I tell you, like, sandbox, because funny story, I stole my sister's car when she was in Vegas. My mom took her to Vegas to go visit her boyfriend who went to UNLV. And you know, like you think I'm gonna run to the liquor store and go get me some cupcakes, ding dong ho-hos. And I run into her. So what? Okay, so now we're joyriding. And every joyride turns into something you shouldn't have been doing in the first place. And we total my sister's car. Oh my goodness. So and the reason that like we kind of stopped like hanging out together is because her dad was like, I was a bad influence, blah, 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 this, and that. And, but that accident was terrible for me because it was the first time I ever like really lied. And I've never been a good liar. I just choose not to lie. I'm a terrible, terrible liar. And it sent me into this really strange place where I had to lie to my mom because my whole sports career was over. Everything was done. My knee got stuck in the dashboard. The only thing that stopped me from going through the windshield, I have this scar on my head, but you know, grandma was a genius, was my knee getting stuck in the dashboard. And my mom kept saying the accident report doesn't match the facts, doesn't match your injuries. The accident report doesn't match your injuries because I wasn't driving. But I never told my mom I wasn't driving because her dad was crazy and mine was in New York. So yeah, it was really crazy. So I was a bad influence. We couldn't hang out anymore. I kept lying to my mom. It shut me down to this person that just stopped talking completely because I didn't know how to like. She kept asking me questions I didn't want to answer. So, but it's not a tragic story because I got to go to Detroit and to Canada because she didn't know what to do with me because I'm in a California king size bed. I'm this little bitty tiny girl. You couldn't see because I was all under the covers trying to hide from my demons. But she sent me to my brothers in Detroit, and that ended up bringing me back to this person right here. And my sister got a new car, and then a trip to Germany. So we ran into each other at the job, and she walked by my office, and she backed up. And we were able to talk again because we got separated because we were like a bad influence. So when I saw that picture, all the stuff that we used to do running track and playing basketball, oh my goodness. So if I could toast tonight, I would be toasted to her. So may Lily rest in peace. And you know, yeah, we had a good time together. So which brings me to the job, which made me think about her. And that picture is we're gonna interview this young man, James. Yeah, he was one of anyone that's followed the show knows that I did a little time in the criminal justice system, and I have a lot of favorites that I made it a point to keep in touch with, and I gave them a hard time to make sure that they would come out and be I want to reach for my water, be productive and do something great. We had another one on the show not too long ago, and Monster Cody's nephew. And now we're going to bring in James so that we can get his experience of going through the juvenile system into the big leagues, which is what I constantly worked on them to prepare them for that. So G-Lew, bring James in for us. Hey, James, he's on a break. So after we talk to James, we're going to bring in my wonderful co-host, Darayl and Jordan.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, James.
How you doing?
How are you? Thank you for taking your break to spend with us in the Hookah Lounge.
Oh yeah, you know I love Mrs. for the world.
That's great. I'm so glad to have you here. Of course, you know I get to rambling. I got a little sidetrack for a second. I wanted to introduce yourself. I already said this is James. Did you spend with me like a year?
I was in there for 24 months, but with you, like, probably like 13, 14 months.
Yeah, so yeah, you were with me for a minute. Um, I brought you on tonight because I really wanted to get my audience to understand what it was like. Because with us, when you were with me, it really was a mini prison. We had the 6-foot gates. We had to shackle you everywhere you went. What did we take you guys outside
Uh,
for rec?
yeah, yeah, for an hour. Like sometimes if somebody didn't fuck up.
So when I tell people where, when I tell people I worked at the halls, they always think, she worked at the halls. But I worked with the young men that were going to prison. And I think our youngest
Right.
was what, 14?
Yeah, 14.
14 to, and our oldest, I think, was up to 22. I think he was 22.
Yeah, that's a different story, but yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about his story, though. Yeah. So give them a little insight on what it is that you guys went through while you were there in the compound.
All right. Well, my name is James, and when I was 15, I took my first wrong turn in life. You know what I mean? And I landed in like a tricky situation, some call it direct foul. And that's when you get tried as a dope off the dribble. Like there's no fitness fight, there's no nothing of that sort. You just go straight to adult court and you fight your case in adult court as a juvenile. So in the midst of that, I was sent to the compound and I didn't really understand it. I'm 15, I'm fighting for my life. I'm really not good. I'm young, I'm gang banging. All I know is, you feel me, just put on for the set at the time. But the struggle was real. Now that I look back on it, I'll write you up on a good night. I look back on it now, it's like, I don't think no kid should have to go through that in life. Like, that's something that it shouldn't be endured for a child, like, because we not even mentally capable of understanding what's going on. Like, we was really fighting for our life. Like, yeah, man, we really going to court every day, and these people they talking about numbers and they not playing. They're like, we go give you this, we go give you this. So I went through a lot in the beginning and the struggle. I ended up taking 10 years though. I took 10 years. I got out the penitentiary when I was 22. I stayed out for 2 years. I stayed out from 22 to 24. I went back to prison, and once again, I just got out of prison again, and I just turned 30 on the 2nd. So, man, it's hard to explain, but the best advice I can give an individual, like, it is not the place to be. It's not for nobody. Like, I done been through everything that California got to offer, from the compound as we speaking on, the California Youth Authority, to multiple prisons. Hello, how you doing?
Where's the mouse?
I'm not even gonna be able to tell you, miss. I don't know.
No, you.
No, I'm sorry. You have a good night. I'm sorry about that, people, because I'm at work. But yeah, I'm on the clock. But like the juvenile experience, I'm gonna be honest. Like the compound, it was crazy. I didn't really understand it. I spent 24 months just confined to Unit Y, where I met this crazy lady right here. Yes, yeah, this lady right here. She's something special though. I'm gonna say that, but it's a lot of ups and downs, and it's a real struggle. It's not a game. It's not the shit that y'all see on TV. It's not the shit you hear about, you read about. This is a real life story. Like, it's not a game. Like, we go through it. It's the struggle. It's real. And the only advice I can give an individual is like, try to stay focused and stay away from it as much as possible, because it don't pay at the end of the day. I lost more than I gained in the whole situation. I lost everyone I pretty much love, and it's real when you stuck on that rack and you losing your family and they dying on you, and there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do but just sit there and mourn and grieve and go through it. It's just like, it's a real mental game all the way around the board. Like, it's very mental. Like if your mental not strong, you will break, crumble, and fall, guaranteed.
When
So
they were one of the things that I know that they were doing is with the numbers. I know if anyone didn't know, a direct file is like they don't even give you an opportunity. Back in the days, they used to put you on trial to see if you were fit to be an adult or a juvenile. They
right,
came in about 19 towards the end of like 2001, 2002. They stopped doing that. They just started direct filing, and they would just tell you you are not fit. You are going to be tried as an adult. So when they started throwing these years at you guys, I know a lot of people took deals because it was better than the because when I was in W, the kids were coming back with they're giving me 74. This is before you guys when I went over to Y. They were
right.
coming back with 74 years and 52 years. So were they throwing these? Because I didn't ask you guys a lot about your cases because I could testify. So a lot of things I didn't want to know that was going on because I didn't want them to call me to testify. So were they offering you? Were they telling you if you take this to trial, you're going to get like 70 years or 50 years? Is that what pressured you guys into taking deals?
I mean, me personally, I'm a like, we had our little crew at that time. We had our little pack. You know what's going on. We had our little brotherhood, and like we was all there for so long. And in the end, like I started seeing them like all go to trial, and they all coming back. I'm like, what happened? They're like, I lost. Like I lost. Like I lost. I lost. I lost. So honestly, that's like that kind of like what forced my hand to be like, you know what, like. I ain't finna play with the game because they losing, and I'm quite damn sure that I could lose too if I play. So that's what made me take the deal. So
Okay. And
in response
something
to your
else. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
in response to your question though, it'd be like, yeah, the numbers. It's like you want to see what I'm saying? You want to see life again. So if they offering you 70 and you willing to take 20, then they come with the 20, and I'm saying you go take it because you think about that 70. You don't think about it, maybe I
Right.
can beat it, maybe I can get around it, maybe I can do this. All you think about is that 70 years. Ain't nobody trying to see that.
Right. I'm sorry. I looked at my battery. It's about to die. Ah, I thought it was plugged in. Oh, this is not good. Another question. One of the reality checks with you guys is that you would leave the compound and then get on the bus to go to court. With the first time I really saw it is when they picked you guys up, and I was leaving work, and the sheriffs are standing outside the bus, and they're armed. They have their guns out as you guys are loading the bus. How did that make you feel, being 16 years old?
I mean, like when you first like the first like time or two, you like damn, like this is it right here. You like
Yeah.
I mean, like damn, like this the big league. So like this was going on. I mean, but
Right.
after so long, I guess we come accustomed to it. But I guess looking at it now, it is crazy, just the whole little process, just the whole wake us up 1, 2 in the morning and shackled and cuffed and gotta go to the sheriff's and deal with they bullshit, and then we gotta sit on this bus, then you gotta come back, and you gotta sit on this, and you gotta do this. It's just a whole a mental draining situation. And then the cold part about it, when you get to court, they ain't talking about nothing but come back in 90 days. So it's
Right.
really
And then
tricky.
taking that trip with like all these grown men, how long did it take you to get used to that?
I mean, you know, I don't know, cause at the time I kind of probably had like people like on my case that was older, and so it was probably like I was probably like kind of already used to it, cause I'm looking forward to seeing certain people. All right, you have a good night. But
Okay.
I guess it is crazy though, cause you in there like, damn man, like this a grown ass man, like what if this motherfucker try to like attack me or something like that, like
Right.
you a kid. But I guess like yeah, I guess I can say I don't know, I done been through it all now, so it's like when I look back on it now, it's like funny when I look at it like, damn, it's crazy, but it's funny at the same time. Like, damn, I really endured all that.
Yes, it's for some people it's a rude awakening, especially some of the little ones that we had in there. Like some of them were just tiny, and then you're
And
getting on that.
it was crazy though. Like, 'cause this time right here that I just came home from, like I ran into a lot of people that I started with in the compound, and it was crazy. It was just like I was running to them all again, and it's like it's crazy to see them now. Like we older, like we grown, like we just sitting here on a prison yard shooting the shit, talking about when we was kids and when we did this and when we did that, like all type of like it's a cold game. That's the only thing I can
Yeah.
really. That's the only way
Now,
I can really put it.
let me ask you this now. When you said that you ran into so many people from the compound, what was the like? What is their take on leaving the compound and then having to walk into the prison yard?
I'm gonna be honest with you. We all say the same shit. Like we didn't know it was gonna be like this. Like, and we look back on it like we was in there fake playing politics. Fake playing the games and all that. Like we was political. Like we knew what was going on, and we really didn't have a damn clue.
Right, right. Because there's such a they made that movie They Call Us Monsters, and a lot of us watched it that worked there, and they didn't make it as real as the system is. Like they really made it harsher than what you guys were going through.
Right.
And it was at some points it was sugar coated, other points they made it seem like it was a lot harsher than what you were going through. And I said it's such a facade for what these boys are getting ready to walk into.
Right.
Like as much as I tried to prepare you for what you're really about to walk into, we give you guys a disservice in the compound. The only thing that we created that was reality is you're not about to go outside, and you are going to wear those shackles. I think that's the only thing that we got you prepared for when
Right.
you left.
That's
And
true.
do you think that do you think the system prepared you to come home and be a productive citizen? Our system and the prison system.
Hell nah. I'm gonna be honest with you. That system don't work. My system is what work. Me that wanted to be like I want to be better. Like you feel me? I'm at a point in my life where I'm striving for it. Regardless, I'm not gonna let nobody or nothing be the reason that I don't get to where I'm trying to get. Like it's all in your mental. Like can't nobody rehabilitate us. Like if our mother couldn't rehabilitate us as a kid, we not finna let no next individual or nobody in that sort of sense rehabilitate us. Like they can try it, but it's all up to you to want to be rehabilitated. It's up to you though. Like it's not up to them, it's up to you. Like if you want to change and you want to be different and you want to do better, like then that's what you gotta do. Because
Right. That's
it
very
don't.
interesting. Ooh, I almost blocked somebody. I'm sorry. My elbow must have hit the pad. They've been so mad at me. That's interesting that you say that because we've had discussions on, is it the parents' fault that kids end up in the system? Is it the streets' fault? But that's really interesting. You said if our parents couldn't do it, what makes the system think they can do it? Because I spent so much time. My staff used to get so mad at me walking up in you guys' rooms or summoning you to my office and I'm in there by myself.
All right.
To spend so much time with the conversations or the programs that they try to bring in, the rehabilitation programs, and you say like how much of that is going to help if our own parents didn't help?
I'm gonna tell you though, like they do help like if you pay attention because like my first prison term, like I'm gonna be honest with you, like I didn't do shit. Like I didn't do nothing. I'm on the yard. It is what it is. But this time right here, my mindset and mind frame was a little different. I'm like, I'm finna go in here and I'm gonna milk the situation. Like I'm gonna take advantage of these courses that they got. Like they got these vocational courses that'll cost me 30,000-40,000 on the streets. I'm finna get up under them and get it for free. So
Okay.
it's like I took an AA course and it was this dude, he used to come, he was a sponsor. He'd come and he'd come chop it up with us, an older black dude. And we in the class one night and he was chopping up with him and he came with the definition of insanity. And he said doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. I
Yep.
never knew that in life. Everything
Oh yeah.
I've been going through in life, I always was wondering Like, what the fuck is it? What the fuck is it? What the fuck is it? And then that night, that man told me that, and I understood from that day forward. Like, damn,
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome.
Yes. I watched Incredible Javier show, and he had said that if it wasn't, he went to YA. I don't know much about Youth Authority. He said that if he didn't go to Youth Authority, he said he thinks going to Youth Authority saved his life. Do you think that if you wouldn't have been put on pause, that your life would have turned out differently?
What you mean if I wasn't put on pause? If I didn't get stood on a shelf?
Yeah, if you didn't sit down, like if they didn't sit you down for a minute.
Nah, I'm gonna be honest with you. The way I was moving, at the pace I was moving, I wouldn't even be here to do this show with y'all today, to be honest. So I feel that it saved my life and it bettered me. Like, I learned the situation. I learned from it. Like, you know, it bettered me. 1 second. It bettered me a lot, and I learned from it. But you know, I don't know. I just, if you would have talked to me 5 years ago, I wouldn't be able to tell you the things that I'm able to tell you today. It took, like, you know, for me to bump my head a little bit more for me to really to get to the stage where I'm at today. So
Okay, I got a question from the comments. It says, what advice would you give the younger kids today that are heading in the direction that you did?
only advice I can give them is just like really pay attention. Just be observant. Like, I learned something. It was the 3 L's, and that's the look, listen, and learn. That's the main key to this. Like, you gotta pay attention. Like, don't be oblivion to things that you know ain't right. If you see something just because you feel a motherfucker is older than you that you have to listen or you gotta do this, you don't. Like, if you feel something in your mind is not right, stand on that. That's the best advice I can give a younger individual. I can't tell you to don't gangbang because I do. I can't tell you to don't do nothing that I don't do because I do this. So what I can tell you is the best advice in this is just, you know, do it the right way if you go do it and pay attention.
Yeah.
Best advice I can give you is get your money and live your life. That's the best advice I can give you.
Yeah. Pope said it's great to hear that you are doing better.
Yeah, tell her it's great that she can't come in my cell no more and try to take my shit away from me. Yeah, tell her she can keep her ass out my cell now. Search.
You know, it's so funny because when I first got there, they would do room searches to be done in like 30 minutes. You search every room in like 30 minutes, every single room. Man, y'all hated me when I taught them how to search. Her and a few other staff. Man, they were like, oh.
Dog. You introduced them to that damn wand. You show these people how to use the wand and shit. They don't know nothing about no wand. Here you come. With your shenanigans.
Y'all are like, my first day in the building, I wasn't there 30 seconds. And I told your boy, I was like, hey, we're going to put my stuff down, call movement control, because I think I'm about to have a restraint. He was like, wait, what? I don't even know your name.
Yeah, you too little to be trying how you put your hands on people. Man, you stop putting your hands on people, kids.
I got called down to the front and said, hey, look, you're a senior. You're not supposed to have this much paperwork. I was like, hey. But that was, I think, my first 6 months. Like, I said, you put me in the worst building in the institution and you want me to, like, not do anything? I said, that's why it's the worst building in the institution. But after that, everything got quiet.
We didn't have the worst building in the institution.
No, really.
We just had a set program. That's all it was.
No, you didn't want. Now, let me tell you something. When they put me in that building, they put me in that building to clean it up. It was the worst building out of all 3 halls.
We had a set program. They just set program.
y'all, the kids had a set program, but on paper, it was the worst building out of all 3 institutions. That's why they put me there. Y'all did not want to see my little ass walk up in there. But all I did was that. No, y'all didn't. But hey, from the day I walked out to the day they wheeled me out, I stayed the same. So that's what I can't say. I always call him Runaway. That's what Runaway told me. He was like, "You ain't changed that one bit." Not.
Nah, I give it to you though. When you came, you gave us like that motherly love we was lacking. Like, you feel me? That at them tough times, like, you always had something like to say or something. Like, you was always on point. You gave us like that. You feel me? We was lacking that motherly love. You know, they took us away from our family and just, put us in
Yeah.
shit in the cage. Like, take that. They like, but we don't care. Y'all say y'all want to run around. Y'all want to do these crimes like y'all grown. So go ahead and take this. Like, you gave us that though. I'll give you that. I can't take that from you. You rewarded us. You do the things like you know what I'm saying, how a mother nurture they child. That's what you gave to us at times, and I appreciate you for that.
Yeah. I had 5 sons. I treated you guys the same way I did my 5 sons. So
Yeah, I
it
know.
was no difference. Yeah. The funny, those were good times, Pope. We had a great time. We had so much. The only thing that I really miss is I worked with Girl Unfits. I worked the Hill. I worked the Council. My best time was there. It really was. I had the greatest time when I was there. And when people say, "What do I miss?" I have to say that time that I spent there. It was crazy with all them open doors. I think I only had one fire being set, but that was the fire setting building when I got there. Like, there were more fires set in that building than the whole institution. I was like, I'm trying to figure out how are they starting fires. Like, who is not doing their job that they are starting fires? I just didn't understand. So, but the one day, the funniest thing is, I had just got to moving in control, and I see everybody run into the building, and they said somebody set a fire, and I was like, my shift is over. I was like, I ain't gonna set a fire after I leave. It was like, go back. I was like, it's 2:00 and I'm about to rock. So I didn't go back. Probably made me a terrible person.
Hey, you probably did have some of the craziest kids in Inglewood, Compton, Washington, LA, for sure.
The worst of the worst. That building was designed to house the worst of the worst from everyone. And I got the Drake kids. When they didn't say, "Hey, we're getting the Drake kids back. Where should we send them?" Any other building? No, send them to Hunter. They send them straight to me. So. Uh-oh. Did we lose you? Okay, I want to ask you 2 things before we let you go. What's the first one I want to ask you is the worst thing that you went through during your whole time, like between the halls, YA, and prison. You went to youth authority too, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah. What was the worst thing that you had to experience that helped you grow to the person that you are right now?
I'm gonna be honest. I lost my big brother January 3rd, 2020, and then I lost my big cousin January 3rd, 2021. It was two of the worst things that I ever endured in my whole jail time period. I probably think of my whole life period. Them was the 2 worst events that I ever experienced that really changed my whole mindset and mind frame and really got me like, I gotta strive for my family regardless of whatever.
Yeah, being there and having loss is difficult. Yeah, having to take those calls and relay those messages. Yeah. Okay, and then I want to say this one for last. What is the one thing that made you grow in this whole learning experience to be the person that you are?
Just being tired of the bullshit. To be honest with you, just being tired of the bullshit. You just get to a point in the stage in life where you just wake up like, you know what? Like, I'm tired of this shit right here. Like, you get tired of waking up in themselves. That shit will wear a tear. Eventually you gonna be like, you know what? I can't take this shit no more. I'm tired of.
Yeah. Oh, I saw a question come up for you. I'm listening to you.
Yeah, just pretty much when you fed up, when you tired, that's what y'all mean. Yeah, buddy.
And that's what. Let me have one more question. Then, how was it holding a relationship? That's I can't see. Vanessa. Oh, that's a cute name. She asked, "How was it holding a relationship?"
This is a game and you went for it. That's all I can tell.
Okay, so let's go.
Right. Right. This is a game and you went for it.
Okay, so you know what? DJ Maniac said something earlier. Let me find his question. DJ Maniac is he said, I can't find it now. OG Steve. Okay, we just thank you for coming on and enlightening us. I want to bring my panel on because we're going to talk about the justice system as well. I really appreciate you coming on tonight and enlightening our audience with what it's like to be inside. I know there's a lot of our audience have been inside, but sometimes to get the perspective of being in the compound, because a lot of people don't know what that compound was like. You know, the little jail that they set up for you guys. You know, once they built the compound, the first time I worked in the compound, the fence wasn't up, and I watched it being built. When I worked in W, I watched the fence go up.
Right.
So, and then they turned it into the prison system. What you guys don't understand, their basketball court is fenced in with barbed wire. Their school, at first they weren't allowed to go to school, but when they did allow them to go to school, they put that behind barbed wire as well. So I want to thank you, and I'll chop it up with you in a little bit. Finish it. Hit me up when you get off work.
Hold on. For the relationship question, it wasn't hard. It was easy. It's just, you just roll with the punches and take it as it comes. So to answer all questions, the question is answered.
Okay. Okay. I just didn't want to put you on any awkward.
No. That's all love. It ain't nothing but love. I appreciate you. Thank you for everything, and you already know.
Hey, Henderson Brand said, "Little bro." So they popped in to see you. Hey, you got to rewind it because we're going to bring our panel in, and I'm going to let him go back to work. Thank you so much for taking this time, James. We appreciate it, darling.
All right, much love.
All right, sweetheart. Yeah, we had a good time, really good time, and yeah, I did let it smack down. I had this one thing is don't fight, don't smoke, don't mess up the program. I won't mess up yours. So let's bring Charity and I'm Darayl and Keturah in. Hey, love. I can't hear you.
Me? You can hear me now?
Yeah. Darayl?
Me?
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Hey.
Hi, Keturah.
Hey, guys.
Hi. How are you? Good. How are you?
You guys look so gorgeous.
Thank you.
I'm tired, so thank you.
I know you had a busy day.
I did.
How are you ladies doing?
Doing good.
That's good. I did all the little rambling before the show. I miss you guys before. I should have brought you in before the show, then took you out, and then because I was up here rambling all by myself. I just get to going. I talk to myself all the time. My grandson's like, "Who are you talking to?" I was like, "The television." So you guys are listening to the conversation. So let's jump in. Let's just jump right in, and then we'll chatter afterwards.
Well, it was good to, having known that young man when he was at his,
we
his
just use the first names.
Yeah, young man.
Yeah.
It's good to see, and what I've experienced in that type of setting is that you see when a kid has done that switch. Like he said, you get tired of being tired of being fed up. You can see it in their talk, their demeanor, just the look on their face. You can see when they've done that switch. So although he had to go through some things, you can see that he's gone through that change, and he's on the other side of making better decisions. And so that's a good thing to see. It's a really good thing to see that, because we've known others that have gone the opposite direction. They've been in that same situation and just continued to go down, and probably will never come out from that type of environment. Right. So it's really good to see.
I like to celebrate the ones that are doing well. As you see, I like to bring them on if they can. There's a few that have come home that I've spoken to, and they're doing really well. So yes, the ones that can make an appearance, I like to celebrate that they're doing well.
Yeah.
See,
it was good. So
yes, it was good to see that the young man had his come to Jesus moment, if you will, and it's turning it all around for the better, because it's always been my contention that there are two types of juvenile offenders. You have the ones that they very much need to be locked away for the rest of their life, because their crimes are very adult-like. Their ability to be conniving and plan and plot is very adult-like, and it's just a matter of fact that they are going to be deviants for the rest of their lives. But then you have juveniles who, fell by the wayside and got into trouble because of who their friends were, or just by happenstance. It wasn't necessarily the case that they were, bad individuals or that they were criminals. It was just opportunity presented itself, and that's where they went wrong. But, it's good to see that he perhaps was one of those children who made a bad mistake. And thank God for him that mistake didn't mean that he had to spend the rest of his life incarcerated.
It's interesting you say that. There was this one, and I will not use his name. Maybe if I tell the story, you guys saw him on the news. There was one that we had, and he was a little tick boom. Always had his door open. One that I had to restrain several times. He was a level 3, so we had to have his door open.
Right.
When I saw that he had come, he didn't live too far. He didn't live too far from me. When I saw that he had come home, I was confused. Like, out of all the kids, how did this one come home? So I'm sitting at the doctor's office. I see the news report come on that he ended up killing. His dad had him in one of his rental homes. He had killed the girlfriend, the daughter, and I think the girlfriend was pregnant. And the father had found him and turned him into the police. And I was thinking he really had mental issues. Who let him out? He had no remorse for whatever crime he had committed. And I don't want to talk too much because I don't want to slip and say his name. But there are some who what they did, and there's no remorse.
Right.
And if they go home, they're going to do it again. Mm-hmm. So how that one got out just confused me. And then I had another one that when he had killed 3 people execution style, and he was with me in W. So when he got a sentence, they had called me down to Boys Shoe to go check on him. He had someone call me to come down to Boys Shoe because he was like, "Can they please close my door? Can you please have them close my door? I'm not gonna kill myself. I've been here since I was 14." He had been there 3 or 4 years. I've been here since I was 14 years old. I knew I was never going home. I'm fine with that. So those are the ones that And he was good. He was cool. I when I came here, I knew I was never going home. When I did the crime, I knew I was never going home. I'm not a level 3. I'm not gonna kill myself. Can you tell them to close my door? So I went and told the senior in Boys Shoe, he's fine. When I worked with him when he was here, when he first got here, and I watched him grow up, like he was a little bitty thing. Like, how do you kill 3 people execution style? You so tiny. How did you hold the gun? But yeah, he knew he was never going home. And that was a kid that didn't need to go home. So there are some that you do say, because we done seen some crimes come through. You do say, but there are some, like you said, C. Darayl, that I looked at like, why are you here? Why are you here? I don't get it.
Yeah.
You see the parents come in and visit, and they're just the nicest little things on earth, and you like, what are you doing here? I don't understand.
And it's shameful because those are the ones that quite often never get a chance to redeem themselves. You know, I know my brother, he was very young, and I think were it not for the people that he was with, he would never have been in trouble because he just was not that type of kid. And at 15 years old, they wanted to give him, in Lancaster, California, they want to give him 45 years to life for shooting a gun in the air. They don't give grown men that type of time just for shooting a gun in the air. He was uh, in Central. I think that's where the Drake unit was at Central at that time. They didn't have the compound at Barry J yet, but he had to go there, and he went to prison, I think, before his 18th birthday. So he grew up there. And when he came home, he was a very different person because the prison system changes you. And I
Yes.
don't think a lot of people know that you get PTSD from being in there. So that was him. And, you know, that broke my mother's heart. And that really changed the dynamics of our family. My only brother and the youngest member of our family being put in prison at such a young age.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that probation is what he needed and maybe some type of
Yeah.
diversion program because he told my mom at the time, Mom, I shot the gun in the air because I didn't want to kill anybody. So it wasn't his intention to kill. He was just in, you know, with other people. And sometimes you have that mom mentality where everyone is doing something and you're expected to act the same way. So you kind of cave to peer pressure. But my brother wasn't a criminal at that time, you know. So
And sometimes you send these young kids to even the halls, they'll come out a criminal, or you send them to
right.
prison at a very young age, they're going to come out a criminal because you're not rehabilitating them, you're putting them in training.
And that's what the juvenile justice system was made to do, unlike with adults. Adults is more punitive in nature, but for juveniles, the system was created to rehabilitate them and hopefully adjust their behavior so that upon their release, they can be valued members of society. However, like I said, a lot of minors are creating or committing very adult like crimes. So
Neho.
and then you had adult offenders, you know, propositioning young kids or telling them, hey, you take the charge. So some of those kids that you guys probably had in the
Yep.
compound, it's quite possible that they didn't do it or that they
Yep.
did it at the behest of adults. But they couldn't snitch. They couldn't snitch.
Yeah, that happened when I was in W because the kids thought that the big homies
Hmm.
thought, hey, you're younger, you're not gonna get a lot of time.
Right.
They started passing out those times, and them little kids, when the sheriffs were coming to get them, were crying like 2-year-old girls, and you stole their Barbie. Yeah, it was sad. It was sad. Yeah,
Right.
and then because I did that whole Bro Pride program when you start learning about the recidivism rate. I said that. I've never been able to say that word.
What word?
Now I'm not gonna be able to say it. The recidivism rate.
Recidivism.
There it is.
Hmm.
It's so sad. That rate. I'm not gonna try it again. I said it the first time like a G, and I'm not gonna be able to do it again. That rate with our young people, it was so high. It surprised me. Like, what are
Yeah.
we doing that? You start looking at yourself like, what are we doing wrong? That
Well, they're sending them right back to the circumstances that brought them there to begin with. And for a lot of juveniles, you know, some of them they didn't have family, they didn't have security in their home, so they got that from being in juvenile hall and being in camp. They were safe, they were going to eat, they knew where they were going to sleep, they had a regular program, and that was something that they didn't get at home. So some of them
Yeah.
did what they needed to do to get back there, or you return them to the same drug infested and impoverished communities. So now you have a revolving door effect, where the same juveniles that you sent home are coming back. You would see that all the time. You would always see the same kid coming back. They go home 1 month, and some of them will be back the next week or within 30 days.
Hmm.
You know,
Well, the
Yep.
saddest part, and then I'm gonna come to you, The sad part is I watched one young lady grow up there because she didn't have any place to go. Like there was no home to go to, and she started going to placements, and then the placements just didn't want her anymore,
Right.
and she just grew up there, and then she turned into a monster only Hairston could love, because she always, it's crazy because when I changed my name and the staff, she ran into a staff and she was asking about me. When she described me, she was like, well, that's Hunter, that's my senior. It was really funny. She was a minor only Hairston could love. I mean, she would kick water fountains off the wall. She one day busted her head on the little bitty glass that we have on the door. And I ended up sitting on her constantly until they put me with the boys. Yeah, because she would request me. And I kept telling, and this is the one thing, anyone listening, and if you get a kid that goes to the halls, and I have to keep telling her, you keep assaulting staff, you keep doing property damage, you keep thinking you're getting away with it. And they are charting this. They are writing this down. And the minute you turn 18, they're sending you to county jail with charges. No, they're not. No, they're not. I can't do anything. Now, I broke my ankle and I was off work. They had to call me to get me on the phone to get this poor little girl. She was about to tear up. At the time, girl, she was in boy shoes. She was about to tear up boy shoe. Because what happened? 2 days after her 18th birthday, her lawyer called. New charges. They're transporting her to county jail. And when I got on the phone, I said, I told you, I begged you to stop. I told you to stop. You wouldn't listen to me. What are they doing to you? They are setting you up. So, but she wouldn't listen to me. And if you got a kid that goes in that system and they think that they're getting away with murder and they can do whatever they want, make them stop. Because they're going to baby you. They're going to let you get away with it. You're not going to go back to court. You're thinking they're not charges. If they're close to 18 years old, they're going to slap on a bunch of charges. And that poor little girl, probation created that monster because she was there from the time she was 12 years old and walked out with grown-up charges.
Well, the system has, tied their hands. Even in the public school system, they're trying to do away with school suspensions. They're doing everything they can to keep these bad little monsters in school, because they feel that once you start suspending kids, then next thing you know, they become more deviant. And of course, as they grow older, they're at risk for becoming incarcerated, which is
so that means there's no punishment for bad behavior.
Yeah, but the punishment should fit the crime. If you have a kid at school fighting, obviously they should be suspended. If you have a kid at school bullying another child, then obviously they should be expelled. It shouldn't be, let's slap this kid on the wrist. Let's do everything we can to prevent them from being expelled when they're making life miserable for another kid. And you shouldn't say, well, we don't want to just put this kid in jail for the rest of their life if they commit, if they do something as a juvenile. Okay, but I don't think that should include murder. If you murder your family or if you murder a family, then the punishment should fit the crime. The Bible says, you are responsible for your actions when you know right from wrong. So if you are 12 years old and you know to commit a crime, hide the weapon, lie about what you did, then you are showing culpability for what you did. And there was a case recently, I think it was a 17-year-old, and they were a month away from their 18th birthday, but because they were not 18 yet, they decided to try them as a juvenile because they're trying to do away with trying these kids as adults. And that means that he committed 3 murders, but that means that he will still be eligible for release at 25 years old after committing 3 murders, going back to the scene of the crime to do away with evidence and all of that to prevent himself from being arrested.
Hey, Joyce. Keturah, I know we left the compound. What are your thoughts, sweetheart? You look like you want to jump in there, but you don't know how to our two big personalities.
We've being in where we have, I've been there 13 and a half years. And, so it's like when we were together working and seeing kids at 14 getting 200 years, you know, at that time I had kids that age, and I'm just like, man, like that's hard for me to digest. And and they did do some really horrible things. But now we're on the complete other side of the spectrum. Now kids are shooting guns in the air and not even getting detained at all. And because of laws that have changed, because of our district attorney, kids are really getting away with some really bad crimes now. It's just complete opposite sides of the spectrum. YA is going to be closing. We're not going to have a California Youth Authority. We're not going to have, it's not YA anymore either, but I can't, DJJ is going to be done. And it's like, okay, where are these kids supposed to go that are going to be housed till they're 25 years old?
And they closed most of the camps down also.
Right.
I think that's a mistake. And I think that's a mistake. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Keturah, because there should be a closing the camps down. I think was a mistake, because there should be some type of, that was supposed to be our rehabilitation system before they went to youth authority. I heard youth authority was terribly ran, but the camp was ran.
Right.
Yeah, that should have probably been done away with, because I've heard horror stories about that place.
I think there needs to be a combination. There are children, young people that need more discipline, a structured environment, to be somewhat separated from our society for a period of time. We need that. And at the same time, we do need better programs,
definitely that.
Drumming for Life, or I don't know what it is. And maybe that would have been a good question next time we have someone on like James, is, what program should they put in the facilities for kids, for young people that are going to be there for 2, 3, 4 years, to prepare them to come out? Because like he said, he did a few years and went back after a year and a half and had to do another chunk of time before he got it. So, it's like, it's a mixture, but unfortunately the powers that are making decisions, they're not in a facility to see these kids, or they just think of them as kids. They're under 18, so they're a kid. They're not a sophisticated person who knows they're doing something wrong or entrenched in the gang life. And right now they know that they're not going to get in trouble. They know that. And, they're like, yeah, I'm going to get 4 years. I'll be back out.
Before I read the comments, daily. I want to say, now, because I do watch Incredible Javier's show, and I just heard James say, they both said if they hadn't spent some time away, they wouldn't be alive. They both thought the time that they spent away, even though I think youth authority that's kind of scary, they both admit that if they hadn't have been sat down, they probably wouldn't be alive today. So I think that's, I don't want to misquote Incredible Javier about saying he wouldn't be alive, but I do believe he said if he wouldn't have been sat down, he wouldn't be where he is today. So, and James just said the same thing. So sometimes when they are wilding out in these precious teenage years, they kind of need to sit down for a second. My son kept getting fights, and they put his little butt on probation. He got to a fight that was none of his business, but he ended up on probation and had to pick up trash. That was a reality check. Like, I'm not picking up nobody else's trash. And that's all it took to shake him up. And then talk about he was 17. When he went to court, he was 18, but he was 17 when it happened. By the time he went back to court, he was in college and 18. But that sometimes that little, you can go to county jail right now, is a wake-up call for some people. So sometimes, them needing to be sat down for a second because you wilding, And James said the same thing, like, my parents couldn't stop me. So
Right.
And sometimes that's a little wake-up call.
Ideally, what it would be is, and what they want to make it now is like a resort type thing, where kids can get holistic treatment and learn mindfulness and things of that nature. And that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, let's give them all that. Let's give them behavior management. Let's give them the tools that they need to become better individuals upon their release, but also let's hold them accountable for what they did,
They
especially
need,
once they get inside. Don't allow them to, continue their deviant behaviors on the inside because they never learn a lesson. And then you take these minors away from their families, away from their mothers, saying, in essence, that they didn't do a job correctly. So they shouldn't be in the community anymore. But then when you return them, they're even worse. So what did you really do to help them? And I don't think it was just a matter of, okay, let's get all these kids and warehouse them and treat them poorly. But that's what ends up happening because you have kids that are, adult in size and adult in their behavior. And then they come in and you have to have a certain standard of discipline for them so that if they do try to attack another child or if they do try to attack another staff. And so in that process, some people did abuse their authority. So what happened? The pendulum just swung all the way left. It didn't meet anywhere in the middle to say, hey, let's do something different so that these children aren't being abused, because that's what happened too. You had the system abusing Black and brown children by giving them more time than what they deserved. Then once they got incarcerated, you had the people who were charged with taking care of them abusing them. So they were just getting abused. And then instead of the system saying, okay, we need to change it, they just said, you know what? Let's not lock them up. Let's not hold them accountable. Let's let them stay home. Same thing with the foster care system, where kids are being more abused in the foster care system than they are at home. Or they're just going
Right.
from group home to group home to group home. And it's like, okay, well, let's try to manage this behavior in the community or at home. And I don't think that's always the, correct answer either.
there has to be like some like a straight prison at certain ages. Like there has to be, to me, there has to be some type of organization and repercussions. But teach them how to. That's what camp was supposed to be for. Just like get up at a certain time, take your butt to school, get an education, go out there and learn some calisthenics. Like, that's what camp was supposed to be about. I don't know where that all went wrong. One thing I went, Western Ave said 17 is adult in her eyes. They aren't kids anymore. And I got married at 17. At 17, that's when you start wavering. Do you know right from wrong? I think from 17 to 24 is when you start deviating. Like, I don't think they should go to a full prison, but at 17, I shouldn't kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
If I kill somebody, they're not gonna come back to life. My little grandkids run around, bang, 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 you're dead. Oh, I'm dead. They pop back up. They don't, they're not at the age where they get. You're not about to pop back up. But at 17 is when you start getting that. I can't run up to a car and just start shooting in the car and think that I don't deserve repercussions for that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But but just unfortunately, board supervisors, district attorney, governor, things like that, they just see the number. That's it.
And that's when you start saying
under,
this. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, they're under 18, so they're a child, and we're gonna treat. So I used to always tell the kids at work, I'm like, trust and believe. I said, when you turn 18, I said, the people that make decisions think some magic dust got sprinkled on you, and you're 18 now, and you know right from wrong. That's what happens when you go from 17 to 18. That they expect you to now make better decisions from one day to the next. It's just that simple. Even though we know it's not like that. It's not like that at all.
I think each
but there
charge
needs
should
to be a better
at,
balance in our current system.
And I think the charge should be looked at when you're at that crucial 17, 18. Does it warrant juvenile life or more years? I think each case should be looked at. Is that a juvenile life charge, or does that warrant a real, 20-year to life? Is it I think that's the problem that we're making in our system. Okay, I think that's a juvenile life. Maybe at 25, he'll have some sense to enter, the real world. Or maybe this one doesn't have the mental capacity. Because a lot of these kids, you have to remember, you don't know the tortures that they've been through, and maybe they don't have the mental capacity to enter the real world. But some of them may have the mental capacity to hit the real world at 24, 25 years old. And that's the part I think that we're missing, you know.
Because they may have the ability to be treated and grow up and learn. Because truthfully, you know, someone just said that, you know, at 17, they knew what they were doing. But I don't think at 17, you really understand the full weight of your decisions. At 17 years old, you know, which was over 20 years ago for me, well over 20 years ago, you know, the things that I would have did then, the things that I would have said then, you know, I would like to think that I was well rounded and had my, you know, feet on solid ground back then, because I did make some very good choices, but I wasn't as emotionally, you know, full as I am now, you know, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing every day. So I think that it would behoove the justice system to say, hey, instead of life, if they commit murder at 21, at 25, at 30, you know, give them an opportunity to show that they have changed. And, you know, you can't really hide who you are, even if you are incarcerated. If you're violent natured, the way you respond to the staff and other inmates is going to come into play. But if you are really trying to change for the better, then you'll be doing things to show that as well. So I think it should be an alternative to just saying at 25, you're automatically released. No, at 25, let them have shown that they are eligible to return to the community, because you can't just say, well, it's not fair to give you 25 to life at 16.
Yes.
And then, you know, tell the rest of society, well, you just got to deal with it and hope for the best for this person.
The way they slap that life in a certain charges, it's an automatic. That's the part I don't get. Because how do you know? How do you know that person deserves to have a life added to the end of their?
Well, if you take a life, if you took someone's life in a commission of a robbery, if you go into someone's house and you kill them because you want to steal from them, you took their life from them. You know, they may have children, they may have a husband, and their family can't have them around anymore because you took their life.
They add life to the end of a lot of charges that weren't with murder.
Kidnapping, rape. Those things are probably even worse than murder, because now that person has to live with what you did to them for the rest of their life.
I'm just giving,
and that's a whole other set of things that's going on.
No, none of that was in my brother's case, and they added life to that, and I was like, for that?
Yeah.
Because
when they gave life for like forgery, like for forging checks, and they gave them like 4 life sentences for check forgery.
Yeah, like, and
that was crazy.
Yeah, how did that warrant life?
I think if it didn't include violence, if it didn't include the loss of life, then that shouldn't even be on the table.
It did.
If you had a gun and you shot it in the air, yeah, that might bring some bad memories for someone, but that's not the same thing as having a gun pointed to your head or being kidnapped.
Yeah, I don't know, but I got a little personal on that one. I'm sorry, my bad. You know, everything revolves back to me sometimes. Well, I get really personal when it comes to these cases, because not these cases, but when it comes to just the justice system, I've seen it just go wrong so many times for so many people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
well, I'm proof that it can go right, you know. And I won't tell my little personal story today because just because I don't want to, but you know, I don't want to share that story tonight. But I will tell you that it can go right. That you can take, you know, a 17-year-old soul girl and give her a little camp program, and she get it together and never get in trouble again. You know, she, you know, learns how to love herself more. She learns that, you know, you can't do what you want to do, that you have to respect yourself and your family, and that, you know, you go home and you get on the right track and you go right to college and you never look back. And that's a system I wish they still had for girls and for the young men, because they're doing them a disservice. If the goal is to return the youth back to the community better, then that's what you should do. You know, Give them the tools that they need to succeed. Don't just send them back out there and they don't have a home to go to, or they're going
Right.
back to the same environment that they left, the same gangs, the same drug addicted parents without parenting skills. If you're going to take them out of the home, at least give them a better footing when they leave.
Yeah, that's what we're missing somehow. That's when I said earlier, like, what are we doing wrong? Like somehow we're dropping the ball somewhere. And you know, the problem is our kids are the ones that are suffering.
Right.
You know, that we're dropping the ball on these kids. It's like we gotta do better, because it's not just the unfit. There, you know, I work a lot of time with unfits, but I worked with the girls for a minute, and you know, everyone forgets that I worked with the girls for a minute. That's just ancient memory. But I worked with the girls for a minute, and we're dropping the ball. And I tried really hard to do something different for the girls. And as soon as I got pulled to work with the boys, everything that I worked so hard with the girls just went by the wayside. You know, it was just gone. And we were making such great strides with the programs for the girls. And you could see it. They started to dress better while they were locked up. They started to come to the classes that I had going, and they were taking pride in some of the things that we were trying to get together. But that just fell by the wayside so fast. Like, don't fight with each other. And you could come to one of my programs. They were like, I didn't fight this week, Miss Hairston. I didn't get rid of that this week, Miss Hairston. Can I come? And that just went all by the wayside. Like, to build them up, to do something to make them greater for later. You know, these are going to be our women and our mothers.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm sorry, you guys. I said I was going to get to my comments. They do need to be held accountable for they are big boys, for their big boy actions. Consequences aren't always about what's right. It's about it's what you get. I don't have my glasses on, because of decisions you made so that the country with the big boys. So, okay, I'm sorry. I can't see for nothing. And you see it's not real bright in my room. But yeah, you know, no, they do. If you have a little kid and they do something wrong, like I got on my grandson for being on my YouTube watching stuff that he ain't supposed to be watching. Now he can't watch YouTube. You know, my kids are grown, so I don't know what to use for them. That's what I have. But my son on probation, and I made him go to community service. I didn't do anything to help him get out of it. You know, everyone can find a way to get out of it. No, he did his community service, and I made him go get a job. And he had a Ford Mustang sitting in front of my yard. That was his for graduation. He couldn't drive to all of that. He got on that little skateboard and skateboarded to the stuff that he needed to do. So everyone has to deal with consequences. And I think as parents, a lot of times, and I was a young mom. I started real young. Well, not as young as these 15-year-olds, but 18. If we don't start giving our kids consequences, they end up in the system. Or they don't, like these young moms now, these kids don't respect them. You know, the few places that I have started going to out when I leave the world again, I look like, even if I go across the street to the store and I see some little kid in the store, they're not listening to their mom, or they're yelling back at their mom. Even some of the dads now, I'm noticing kids aren't listening to their dad. You got teenage boys like telling their dad what they're going to do, what they're not going to do. And I witnessed this not too long ago. A son came and told their dad what they were going to do. And the dad just gave him some money. He an ass? He just comes home and tells you what he's going to do. Eric is 20, and it was so cute because he asked could his friend spend the night. Now, he's 20 and his friend is 21. I thought it was the cutest thing in the world. Like, he asked could his friend. I was like, he paid rent. See the difference? So we got to stop that, you know. And if we have kids that, like us grandparents, like our kids have kids, we got to stay on our kids to make their kids listen. Because they'll be in this system. We got to help.
Right.
You know, and I always tell, a lot of people call me now, like if their kid ends up in the system, they still call me and ask what should they do, or they get arrested. I still get those calls, what should they do? And I always tell people, you can always call me and ask me. I don't have a problem helping you out. But we got to keep our kids out this system. We got to really work to keep our kids out this system, because I raised, like you saw how long James was there with me. There were a lot of kids that were with me for a long time. And watching these kids go to court, now Keturah said they don't spend a lot of time going to court. They just send them home. I understand the same thing. Who works in the courts? They're just not. They're giving. But I said they're setting you up, world. They're setting you up, letting these kids just go. My opinion. This is just my opinion. YouTube. This is not true to facts. Okay. Warning. Disclosure. This is not the truth. What I feel like I said to that young lady who kept getting in trouble. She kept getting a slap on the wrist, and then they sent her to county jail with a whole lot of charges. And I think it's going to be like in the 80s when they keep giving these little kids a slap on the wrist, and then they say, guess what, world? We tried to give you guys a chance. You just couldn't do it. The crime rate went up, and they're going to do a Clinton on you again, and everybody's going to get that 3 strikes again. With a whole different kind of law, though. Like they building new prisons. They done took that COVID money and they building new prisons in that state. They're building them for.
Well, I'm not so sure that they don't need them. Their EDD money has run out, and you got people committing even more crimes now. If you can't keep your hands to yourself, and if you can't, abide by the laws of society, where should you be? Because
they could have took that EDD money and built a new school, some after school. How about some after school programs?
Right.
Someplace for a boys and girls club.
For me, I just believe that, before your kid even gets to that age, I think that, maybe hold off on the Jordans, hold off on the gang systems. A lot of parents these days, they're not just raising their kids poorly. They're really not in the homes. They're out working. They're trying to run businesses, and they have busy lives. And then the kids kind of get shortchanged because you don't have mom or dad in the home because both are working. And then somebody has to be home. Somebody has to be home to help with homework and to make sure the kids are not getting into trouble. And especially where I live, I know a lot of parents, they drive to work 2 hours and back home 2 hours. So in that time, your kid is getting into trouble because they just don't have that parent home with those eyeballs to say, you know what, you can't go to your friend's house, or that kid is not coming over here. So before you know it, your kid is involved in the criminal justice system, and it's, mainly because you just wasn't there. It's not because you didn't care or you didn't give your kid the tools that they needed. You just wasn't there to supervise. So
I was a single mom, so I had to work. But my not Eric. Eric was in daycare. The one above him, I was able to leave him on the after school playground until I got there after work. We just don't have that anymore.
Right.
And when we were kids, we got to be on the after school playground. Mm-hmm. And then there's no place. It is so expensive for sports now. There's no, and they're so hard to find. Like that's why I said there's nothing for these kids to do but get in trouble. So if you are a mom that has to work and you have to drive, there's no place. Like there used to be these little buses that would pick up the kids from school and take them to the places, to the Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA. You just don't find that anymore. It's wrong. And Keturah too. You were work. Sometimes you have to take me home. Like if little David had. Oh no, little David was gone. Was he gone? When I was in what? He was gone. I don't know why he had to take me home sometimes. I don't know what she was trying to take me home sometimes. See, that's how complicated life was. She had kids, I had kids. I'm like, girl, please take me home today. Maybe Craig had to stay at work. I don't know. But she had to rush to go get her kids, to take them places and do things. Times were hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe he took the car to LA and he took the car to LA and I was supposed to the apartment. I don't know. You froze, babe. Keturah.
Oh.
There you are.
Frozen.
She's just sitting there.
Yeah. No. Is it working?
Yeah, you working. You back now.
I can hear you.
what do you think we can do to help keep these
You
kids
hear
out
me?
of the system?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna. What do you think? Is she from? Where are you, Keturah? At least that was a cute face when she was frozen.
Say that.
Um,
What'd you say? It is cutting in and out.
let me read this. This one. This for you, Keturah. I work in gang
I can see you.
intervention.
I
I
can
know
hear
that.
you.
Okay, I read this one from Western Queen. I work in gang intervention. I know it ain't worth it to be out there doing stupid but I always knew I was held accountable for my actions. I made choices and dealt with the consequences. I don't. I think that's all the words they gave her. You know, they make you stop typing, like this Twitter or something. Yeah, that. But you know what, Western Queen, you everything that you always talk about, you've never been a sucker about yours. You always stand up for what you did. You don't make excuses. You know, there's a lot of people like you own all of yours. There's a lot of people that don't. They'll
Are you talking
blame it
about
on
me?
little. No, that was Western Queen. I was reading her comment. What do you think? Like
Oh,
I said,
gotcha.
Western Queen. Yeah, she always owns her. What about because we work with a lot of parents that would come in and say, "Not my little Jimmy. Little Jimmy didn't do that."
Oh God. Yeah. You know what? I've had literally maybe less than 5 parents who, when I went out and told them, hey, you know what, your kid is in here messing up, to where the next thing that she did was get on her kid when I walk away. Very few parents would do that. And at least I knew that she actually left the visit. This one, I'll never forget her. She got so angry at her kid because he was already detained, then he's in there messing up, and then I came out there to talk to her. She left the visit and she said, thank you for doing what you're doing, because I can tell that you telling me that all these different things that he's doing, he doesn't need to be out yet. And I was, I
Right.
appreciated that. And it just made the kid at the time hate me more. But I was like, whatever. Because, he was, but, but most of the parents, yeah, they want to, come and try to get you in trouble for actually doing your job. And unfortunately, you can see when the parents come in, sometimes you're not surprised why their kids in there and doing the things that they're doing.
Right.
You can tell that there's some struggles going on or whatnot. So,
Well,
but
Keturah, sorry to step on your toes. I hate when people blame. Not hate, that's strong. But you have some members of society that think that if a kid ends up locked up, it's the parents' fault. And
my connection is
sometimes
bad
you do
today.
have parents that literally hand their kid the gun to go shoot, or literally say, "Let me give you this sack of dope to go sell." I've seen it. So you do have, but then sometimes you have parents who had negative, interactions with law enforcement, or who may, like me, my nephew was killed by a sheriff in Las Vegas. So, his kids, they're scared of the police when they see them. They don't see the police as protecting, sir. They see them as bad. So, I remember one time I had a kid and I made the mistake of telling his mother that he was a ward of the court. That sent her into a tailspin. She was so hot at me because she had another son that had been killed by the police. So, and she would get on her son and say things like, because she would still keep putting money in his account for him. And she would tell him, if I found out you did this and I found out you did that, I'm not putting money in your account this week for when you got home. But that kid was just something else. He really was. But, she had a negative interaction with law enforcement. So in her eyes, there was nothing you could really tell her about her son, because she saw probation and, the, law as the enemy.
Right.
No matter what her kids had done, she saw them as an enemy. So sometimes you have parents like that. And then sometimes you just have parents that are, living in impoverished communities. And when you have a community that is largely consistent of people who are poor, then you're going to have more crime. And then you're going to have the situation where it's us against them. And, that just creates a whole level of dysfunction that, law enforcement can't really compete with, or the systems that are put in place, because really that's what the system was put in place for, to keep poor people under control and to keep them away from people who, are valued members of society. That's what prison is really for. You either do what you need to do, go to work and stay in your place, or you go to jail.
Oh yeah. It's I always tell my kids that they're real careful because it's a very thin line between freedom and prison.
Right.
So
right.
It doesn't matter. You'll see people in prison that were stockbrokers or for real. You think stockbrokers. Some of the people that my brother has come into contact with, like, you wouldn't believe he's in here. That one day they were straight A students. They thought they was going to college. Now they're sitting in prison. Very thin line from freedom to prison. So,
right.
Keturah's gone. I just looked at the time. This conversation could go on forever. We want to give out our final words. I don't really want it to be about this conversation though, because we've been gone for a long time. I missed last week. I love ending my Sabbath with the hookah lounge, and I ended my Sabbath just laying there saying my little hookah lounge went off, and Keturah, I was laying here all irritated. So, what can we end the evening off with? Some real. And I had no toast, no tequila, and I'm dropping my phone. Let's end it with something good, some good vibes. To end the evening, because I done had just the longest week ever. Are you gonna toast to me? Since I can't, I'll give you an air shot. I'm doing my my Day of Atonement. Begging for all those sins.
So when does it end? At 12?
Well, it was supposed to start yesterday, but Eric had to work, so I'm doing it with him. Everybody did theirs yesterday. Me and Eric all alone doing ours. So it started at sundown. So when the sun went down today to sundown tomorrow. That's 24 hours.
You're just starting.
I'm just starting.
You were at the end of it.
I would have been. When the show started, I would have been at the end of it. But I didn't want Eric.
I want to say again, apologize to Keturah. I didn't mean to say I hate when people. That was harsh. I didn't mean to offend. If I did, I wasn't trying to do that. I wasn't even thinking of you when I said. I was just thinking of, when you have people who say, "Well, it's their parents' fault. It's our parents' fault," and sometimes it is. I didn't even hear you.
She was fading out. That's why I did the laughing thing, because she was like, "Ooh!" She went down that little deep tunnel when you fall off of YouTube, slide out.
Oh, and I need to just say, shout out to the Barbs and shout out to Grandma.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean,
she's like, my kids, but she got a tough little skin.
Yeah.
You pop back in. It's so funny. My iPad is a little behind me, so every time I look down, it's like behind what I just did. It throws me off. So we were gonna give our last words. We wanted to do something outside of the conversation because we were gone last week. So we're gonna give our dues with something positive, something great. I can't toast, so we didn't do our toast in the beginning. So let's say something wonderful to our audience. I love Western Ave.
Thank you to everybody who commented and who comes on and joins us. I have so much fun with you ladies, sharing my thoughts and opinions. Thank you to my family who tunes in and watches. And you guys could be doing anything on your Saturday night, but you're joining us. So I just pray that you guys all have a great week and enjoy, your weekend before you go to work, or if you have to go to work tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed week, the rest of the year, all of that.
That's how you cute as a button. Yes. She's just so cute.
I hope everybody can hear me now. But, you know, again, yes, I love doing these shows. We have great conversations. And for anybody who's listening and for all of our extended friends and family, you know, I just send a lot of love and light and positive energy into our world, because right now we're going through some tough times, scary times. And I think that we all need to, you know, send off and send out as many positive, good vibes, energy, and strength, however we can, as much as we
Right.
can, to one another, you know, individually and as a community. And, you know, many blessings. You know, as hard as my week has been, you know, myself, I'm still blessed. And, you know, I'm thankful for that. And so, you know, so I'm just, you know, I hope we all have a great, like you said, have a great night, have a great weekend, have a great week coming up. And, you know, we're coming towards the end of the year. And, you know, I foresee it, you know, still being good for us and everybody else. And, you know,
Right.
so you got to put out that, you know, your mindset got to be in the right place and put out the right vibes and energy. So that's all, love and light to everybody.
Yes, yes. Hey, Western Ave, we love you too, girl. You always brighten up everything when you come around, Western Ave. I want to say, yes, I agree with the ladies. Thank you for joining us. It's a blessing to wake up every day. It's a blessing to have you guys here join us every Saturday. Anyone that's out there, hey, you know what just popped into my head? Every year, like every 6 months, I always say, anytime that you're feeling kind of like icky, I always put a post up and say, hey, check on somebody today.
Mm.
You know, like if you're like not in a
Yeah.
good mood or something, check on somebody today. If it's someone you haven't talked to in a while, say, hey, let me check on such and such today. You know, so that's my word for you. Hey, tomorrow or tonight, check on somebody you haven't talked to in a long time and just say, how you doing? Like you're not calling them because you need something. You're not calling them for anything other but to say, hey, what you doing, girl? Oh, what's up, homie? You know,
Yeah.
so that's my word. Hey, check on somebody. Somebody you haven't talked to in a while. Just surprise them, brighten up their day. They may need you and you don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all, you know, that's my little Dee Dee's point of view. It might not be worth much, but it just I like to do that because if I'm feeling a little icky, somebody else might be too. You know, and then y'all can laugh together. So
Yeah,
that's my thing. Hey, thanks for joining us. We love this. I love this panel. We have so much fun. Hey, next week we got you, right, T. Darayl?
Right.
Yeah, we're talking about those books next week.
me.
Yeah.
Right. So check
that's-
me out on Amazon at cdarayl.online. Either one. Pick up my books. Baby Girl 1 and 2 is out now.
Yeah.
So that next week when we discuss it, you already have read it.
Exactly.
So yeah. And Keturah, you're going to join us, right?
Baby girl.
You got
Actually, I have a sweet 16 to go to tomorrow. A family member, tomorrow, next Saturday, a family member sweet 16.
Oh, we're going to miss you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
And I missed y'all
are.
last week too, but I was in beautiful Oregon. And so,
Yes.
but the following week, and you know, October is not that busy, just next week.
Right.
Oh, wait, I hit the wrong button. Where's copy? Y'all gotta put this in the link, the book, so we can't sign out yet. Cause you've got to, I read book 1. Oh my goodness. I've been waiting for this book forever and ever. Y'all think I'm playing. No, you guys know I geek out. I'm that weird. I geek out over books that I really like to read. So, you know, I get on the show all the time and I'm like, you know, me, and then it's a book that I read and I start turning into the weirdo fan. So that's what I'll be next week. I'll be like, if she don't stop with this book, I get to geeking out. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had to, you know, tone it down some because I was really ready to like just cut loose. But someone told me, no, you got to turn it up. So maybe the next book I might do that for part 3, but I had to cut back a lot. I think it was really raw. It was more raw than I wanted to be, but it was raw. But it's still good. But when you read it, if you think it's raw, then you have to just understand I did tone it down.
What? See, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna download that as soon as I get off the and order, because I like to hold the book when I read. So hopefully we'll get here in
Right.
time.
Yes, I
I
like
meant to do that
hold
the other
books.
day, but I got. Oh, remind me to tell you about Robin. I forgot to text you. You remember Robin? Yeah.
Mhm.
She played the video. I love that song. Hey, that's Cozy Dan. If you like the song on the video, that's Cozy Dan's. I post them on my Instagram all the time. I love this song.
Mhm.
So she was like, I done fell asleep on y'all. He would never do that. I just like to that's what I'm praying for. Stop with the silly jokes. They're only funny to me, Eric says. Those jokes are only funny to you. I only make them.
Took too many losses. Running up this shit, now I'm bosses. You ain't money sellers, you ain't bosses. Niggas showing this to me, but I ain't lost shit. Talk too many of them bags. Fast and dodging, cause I can't go back to the gym. Ayy, and my else on the lessons. God gave me a talent, and I'm distant, she's testing. Ayy, oh baby, bad, miss some next thing. Leave me alone like I like her, now we texting. Ayy, pictures always I chase cheddar. Difference between me and you, I get a wetter. Ayy. Took too many losses. Running up this shit, now I'm bosses. You ain't money sellers, you ain't bosses. Niggas showing this to me, but I ain't lost shit.
Oh, I'm over here dancing. I told you I really love that song. Thank you guys again. Megalicious, you got to watch the replay. It was a great show. So, you too, darling. Thank you guys again. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow night. G-Lew's OG. Yeah, oldies rule forever. OGs. Thank you guys. Hey, go check out last night's show. KDAY. It was a really good show. Love y'all.